Well, hello. It's been a while. Chuck Loaf here, 1200 Films Podcast, all horror all the time, as you know. In between the last airing of my previous show and now, my buddies at the Horror Movie Podcast finally did their best of 2020 review show. And they had a thing where you could send in your review of your favorite film. And if it's, good, they'll read it on the air. Well, they read mine on the air, so let's listen to that real quick right now.
We have one from Chuck Loaf from the 1200 Films Podcast. His favorite was Uncle Peckerhead.
Nice.
Says, imperfect, yet overly violent, fantastically gory, and remarkably full of something you rarely see in horror films, heart. Also a story of friendship, camaraderie, and a sense of just wanting to belong. Peckerhead pushes all of the right buttons and deserves every accolade it receives. An aspiring punk band finally gets booked on a mini regional tour only to find their vehicle has been repossessed. They befriend an unassuming bum living in a van down by the river, and the bum volunteers to drive them around. Soon, the bum's insatiable secret is revealed, and the band has an important decision to make. Uncle Peckerhead joins Green Room as the best punk horror film ever made. So,
awesome.
Yeah, interesting. Cool.
That's great.
Yeah, I think it's looking a cult following for sure.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It really was.
Goddamn right it was a lot of fun. Shit. My number one. But, on the episode, you could post little comments below of the thing there, and a lot of people were hyping up Uncle Peckerhead. I think they posted their results, and I think Uncle Peckerhead was like fringe top 20, didn't quite make their top 10. But people were saying that the title had turned them off, and that's why they didn't watch it. Which was true for me too. It took me a while if it wasn't had ranked, because it was number 3 on Rotten Tomatoes as top films of the year before they took it off because it didn't get enough reviews, which is stupid. Which is the only reason I checked it out. If it was any further down, I probably wouldn't have watched. But glad I did. Yeah. So let's get going on the batch we have now. We're gonna do 9 movies today. And then one we really, really have to talk about because it has some issues. Of course, the rating scale on the bottom: dumpster fire, garbage. And then can't quite recommend, and then okay if desperate, and then put on the watch list, and then put on top of the watch list, which we don't have to worry about today, because nothing is going to go on top of the watch list. But let's get going with that first one that disturbed me. From 1977. This film has about 25 different names. The one I watched it under was called Schock, S-H-O-C-K, but it's also S-C-H-O-C-K. IMDb has it as a 6.3 out of 10, but you won't find it on Rotten Tomatoes under that title. You have to look at under Beyond the Door Part 2, where it has no critic rating and an audience score of 42. Why this film has so many different weird titles. But anyway, so this family, mom, dad, and their little 10-year-old boy move into this old house. And you're probably thinking, oh, it's haunted. Well, there's something in the house, and it's a demon. So this demon, of course, is going to attack the weakest person of the family, and that is the little boy. So as it's possessing this little boy, the little boy starts to have some feelings towards Mama, because the demon apparently wants to, do what it wants with the Mama, as demons are known to do. The demon has probably already hit puberty, unlike the boy. But anyway, so the mom and the boy are wrestling around, and then the boy starts to dry hump his mother. And once the mom realizes this, she's like, little Jimmy, get out of here. You can't be doing that. And the boy's like, hee, Mom, you're so funny. And he just runs off. Like, what? if the boy was truly demon possessed, the boy would have said, "Shut up, bitch! I'm almost finished." But so there was a lot of awkward moments in this film. Would I say it's any good? No. But yeah, it escalated from there like any possession. It tried to be an exorcist and kind of up it with the shock value. Instead of a girl peeing on the floor, it had a boy dry humping his mother. So take that for what it's worth. Cannot quite recommend. Next one. This film is also called Schock. Why I watched 2 movies in a row called Schock, I don't know. But I did. There's nothing on Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb has it as a 4.7 out of 10. This is probably one of my first Bollywood films. Came out in 2004. Don't do a lot of Bollywood films because they're pretty much just recreations of American films and or Japanese films that I've already seen. But this one was actually not bad. This boy, this is gonna sound familiar. This little family with a young 10-year-old boy move into this old house. Thankfully, there was not a demon in the house to possess the boy so it would dry hump his mother like in the last film. But there was an evil presence of a woman that died in the house, and that took over the boy, and it made the boy jump into the pool and kill himself. So the whole rest of the film is the parents dealing with their loss and trying to figure out why their boy killed himself. Then as they more they uncover, the more they find out about the history of the house. It actually wasn't as bad as the other one, but I'd say it's okay if desperate. It's fine. Next one, from 1983, Microwave Massacre. No critic rating, audience score of 35. This was actually made 4 years before 83, but they couldn't find anyone to release it, surprisingly. It's basically comedian Jackie Vernon being just told to go out there and do whatever he wants as he's doing this film. He inserts a lot of one-liners here and there that some are hit and miss. Sometimes it's really funny. Sometimes it's like, what? But basically, in the film, his wife buys this giant microwave to cook a bunch of meals. And at some point, his wife succumbs to death. So he decides to cook her in the microwave, piece by piece, and feed the pieces to his coworkers and neighbors, etc. Thus the title, Microwave Massacre. I was hoping he was going to put people in the microwave so we can watch them explode. But that's not really what happened. Still, it had its moments. I would say okay if desperate. But it is cheesy, so be careful. Next one. 2010 Outcast. Critic rating 64%, audience score of 30. This movie did not really get any wide distribution until 2017. Why so many years later? I don't know. This wasn't a bad film. This mom and her teenage boy, she is a witch, and she had an affair with a vampire, and now her son is kind of a vampire witch werewolf hybrid, whatever. And he's going through his life cycle. His life changes as a young boy, and he's going out at night and ripping people apart, as young boys do. So, the father is trying to stop this abomination from continuing on his killing spree, so he's trying to get involved with the boy and trying to stop him. I don't know if he was really trying to kill him per se, or just kill the mother to get to the boy. I don't. It was But still an interesting film. Still not much better than Okay If Desperate. There was a lot of teen angst they could have done without, but it's fine. Next one, 2014, Cub. C-U-B, Cub. Critic rating 38, audience score 33. This was a foreign language film. I believe it was Spanish. Sometimes Spanish, Italian, it all kind of mixes together. But so this group of like Cub Scouts are out camping, and there's this little boy out in the woods who has this piece of bark that he wears as a mask, and one of the counselors is a total douche. But anyway, so one of the scouts befriends the wild boy in the woods with his bark mask, and turns out the boy in the bark mask has this like father figure he follows, and he's pure evil. So they're trying to get to that, and then, like I've discussed in many films, the killing of children disturbs me, but there was a mass killing of children in this one, but it was done tastefully. So I give it a pass. Now, in movies like Dr. Sleep or Beelzebub, it's not so subtle. But this one, I'd say it's okay if desperate. It's almost on the watch list, but the ending I knew. But let's move on. Yes, 1971, Short Night of Glass Dolls. That's the title. Short Night of Glass Dolls. And this film has nothing to do with short nights, or glass dolls, or Short Night of Glass Dolls. It is a Italian giallo film. There was a lot of these made from Italy back in the day in the 70s. But so this guy, he is a reporter, and he's quite popular with the ladies because he has a big, thick mustache. Other than that, I can't see why these ladies are attracted to this man. He has a big Luigi mustache, and they're drooling over him like he's Tom Cruise. Or I guess nowadays, more like, I don't know, Ryan Reynolds. But he ends up dead, or so we believe. So he ends up at the morgue, and the doctors looking at him are like, he's been dead for a day. He should be a lot colder. He's a corpse. Something's not right. And then a lot of the movie we get to see from his perspective, the almost dead guy. He's like, I'm not dead. Help me. Something's wrong. So we kind of, throughout the film, we kind of have like flashes back to see what happened, to see where he got where he was. And that was interesting. And the final scene was amazing. So for a 1971 Italian giallo foreign film, this was pretty good. Still, it's the best of poo. Most of these Italian giallo films are less than substandard. So it still gets an okay if desperate. I'm stingy on my ratings this time. Oh, it only gets worse though. 2021. This is my fourth 2021 film. Lucky. That's the title, Lucky. Critic rating 93%. Audience score 27. I completely agree with the 27. This woman, single woman, moves into this house by herself, and every night, well, she has a boyfriend who comes visit sometimes, but every night at around the same time, there is an intruder into the house, and she has to fight him off. And when she does, and okay, this intruder is the weakest man ever. He is the Samuel L. Jackson character from Unbreakable. His bones are made of glass because he dies so easily. He visits every night, every time she kills him, which isn't difficult. She kills him and then goes to call the cops, and then he's not there. He's gone. He ran off. So she's like, wait a minute. I saw his neck snap, or I stabbed him with this or that, and he's just gone. And the cops are like, oh, we'll find out. We'll figure it out. Yada, yada, yada. This is, I'll give away one death here. This is how she killed him one time. He was chasing her up the steps, so of course she can't get through the door to get through somewhere, so she fights back, as women usually do. They close their eyes and just push. So she closes her eyes and she pushes him all the way down the stairs, and he rolls. And when he gets to the bottom, of course, crank, dead. And then she goes to call the cops, and 2 seconds later, he's gone. But, yes, this happened probably 20 times. It's like a Groundhog Day of home invasion. And they kind of explained why this keeps happening, but, not really well enough to my standards. Can't quite recommend. It's not dumpster fire garbage for the reason that it is well made, and it is interesting enough to see it through to the end. But that being said, I can't quite recommend. Next one, The Devils. Did I say it's from 1971? Yes. Critic rating 67%, audience score of 89. And I watched this on Shudder, and the description had it as one of the most controversial horror films of all time. It deals a lot with religion, so I can see why. How do I describe this film? Okay, so it's set way back in Bible times, I guess, or a little after. So this priest, who again the women flock after, and this one nun is obsessed with him and comes up to him and wants to be with him. So he publicly shames her and disfigures her. So she runs back to the Covenant and stays there. Yet the entire time she is still obsessing about him. Like, woman, he disfigured you publicly. You were a freak now because of him. And yet she still wants that pee. She still wants it. But there's so many other weird, bizarre things. I don't even know where to go. It's like a Bible movie with a horror twist and a lot of not death. I couldn't quite figure it out. Again, can't quite recommend, but it is weird. Don't know about the most controversial horror film, but it's something. Yes. Okay, on to our feature film, finally. It is from 2020. It is Freaky.
Honestly, if this was a horror movie, I'd be one of the first ones to get killed. You, the creepy dude in the mask. Like I said. But actually, it turns out
Where am I?
I didn't get killed.
Oh my God, why do I sound like that?
I woke up in the killer's body.
The Blissfield Butcher strikes again.
Okay. 2020 Freaky. Critic rating 83%, audience score of 80. This was originally titled Freaky Friday the 13th. I'm glad they shortened it because that title is awful. But it's one of those movies where an adult and a child flip-flop, and they added a horror twist to it. I remember there was one with Fred Savage and Judge Reinhold, I believe, from the 80s. Whatever the hell that one was called. That's the one I most remember. There was another one with the chick from Halloween. Whatever her name is, I can't remember. But yes. So the Vince Vaughn and this teenage girl, they flip flop bodies, as he was trying to kill her, and now she's in the body of a killer, and the killer's in the body of a teenage girl. Somewhat popular yet still bullied teenage girl. So Vince Vaughn stole the show. This will not be going on top of the watch list, but it is a put on the watch list solely because of the performance of Vince Vaughn. If you've never seen the movie Clay Pigeons, that is a early Vince Vaughn amazingly awesome film that nobody has watched. I bring it up like, oh, I've seen Wedding Crashers. I've seen that school one with Will Ferrell running naked, whatever that one was, and yeah. But you never saw Clay Pigeons? No, I'd never even heard of it. Well, it's his best film, and this is probably his second or third best film. Freaky. But yes. The situations he gets in is pretty amazing, and of course the part where he tries to convince his teenage friends that this 40-year-old man, well, more like 50, is a teenage girl is pretty interesting too. So but yes, Freaky, nice little film. I enjoyed. Would it have made my top 10 for 2020? No. Might have been an honorable mention, more than likely. But yes, the show's gone long enough. Let's kill it. Let's quickly go over what we're going on into the next episode. And then the next one we have Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. It's from the 80s. And then we got another 80s one called Edge of the Axe. And then we have two newer ones that, based on the cover art, they look like the same exact movies, so we will decipher which one's which and which one's good. One's called Monsterland and one's called I Kill Giants. So we'll check those out. And then we got another Shudder movie called Stay Out of the Effing Attic. And then back to our shock theme from this episode, we got a movie called Shockma. Shockma is about a killer baboon in a laboratory. That should be fun. And then we have a 2021 movie called Slacks. SLAXXX. About a killer pair of slacks. And then we got I think it's a Russian film called Let It Snow. That should be fun. And that's it. So we'll see if any of those slacks. Shockma. Stay out of the effing attic. Where do these titles come from? But this should be interesting. Okay, until next time. Bye-bye.